Hello Photoshoppers, this is Rebecca and I'm here to show you how to resize your image if your scanning software does not have a target size option. So a lot of you, if your scanner is plugged into your computer and you're in Photoshop, go ahead and launch Photoshop. You can go to File, Import, and choose Images from Device. This will automatically open up your scanner software and you can pull it directly into Photoshop from here. So that's really great. So my scanner has detected this image on the flatbed and created this selection around it. The selection is going to automatically determine the sizes over here in the text fields for the size. For the kind, I'm going to choose color or color photo. Now for the resolution, because this scanning software doesn't have the target size option, I'm going to, instead of making my resolution 300, I'm going to choose 1200. And now, I'll show you why we do that later. My rotation angle automatically defaults with whatever the selection is over in the preview window. For scan to, you're going to choose a destination where you'd like your file to save. For assignment, please change it to assignment 1. Don't leave it as the default, which is usually scan. That can get lost in your computer somewhere because you'll have lots of scan files everywhere. For format, change it to TIFF. Then go ahead and leave combine into single document unchecked. Leave image correction as none. Leave descreen unchecked. Leave color restoration unchecked. Leave adaptive lighting as none and leave sharpen as none. The reason why we're not messing with these is because we don't want this scanner software to make these decisions for us. We want to do them ourselves in Photoshop. Now that we're becoming better at Photoshop, we want to do the driving. We don't want to let the computer and the software do all the driving. So once you have all those settings done, go ahead and hit the scan button. Once your image is done scanning, it automatically opens in Photoshop for you. You don't have to go find it on your computer anywhere. My scanner takes a little while, so I'm just going to go ahead and open the image that I recently scanned. And here it is. This is a picture of me strangling our cat when I was little. So now I'm going to go to Image Rotation, and I'm going to do a 90-degree counterclockwise, just so I can see what I'm working at. Now this layout is a portrait layout, or it's vertical, so my height is going to be longer than my width. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for you. So I'm going to go into Image Size, and I'm going to make sure that Resample is unchecked here. I'm going to go over to the drop-down panel to the right of the width text field, and I'm going to choose inches. And as you can see, it's scanned in as our original photo's dimensions, 3.46 by 4.28 inches, but at 1200 resolution. So I'm going to find, I told you my height is the longest of the two of the height and width. So in my height text field, I'm going to change it to 11 inches. And it automatically changes my width to 8.8, which is greater than 8.5, which is the technical requirement for the assignment, so that's good. And notice that the resolution automatically changed. That's because I unchecked Resample. So it changed from 1200 to 466. Now as long as your resolution is higher than 240, you're good to go from this point forward with this image and working on it for the assignment. Ideally, we'd like it to be over 300, but 240 is good. 240 is the minimum for printing, which we're not going to print this to turn in for this assignment, but if you want to print it, you'll be okay to print it at 240 or higher. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and then apply all of our changes and do everything we want to do. Now the reason why we started with some dimensions that are a little bit larger than the technical requirement of the assignment is in case you want to crop this at all, or rotate it, do things to change the composition to be more appealing, to fall into that rule of thirds rule, then you can you have a little extra room to play with there. Now, once I'm done with all of my edits and changes and adding things or subtracting things to change the context, we're going to go ahead and get this ready for turning in. Now I'm going to go back into Image Size, and now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller than 8.5 by 11. So let's change my height to 10. and see where it leaves my width. Okay, left my width less than 8.5, so that's good, and I'm going to hit OK. Once again, you don't notice that the image itself changes here because we just resampled the pixels, so we actually didn't resize the actual image. I know it sounds confusing, but don't worry about it. And now I'm going to add another, I'm going to unlock my background layer. I just have to click on that lock one time and it unlocks it. I'm going to add another layer, pull it down below my background layer, and I'm going to use my paint bucket. I'm going to bring white to the foreground here. If you have other colors selected, just hit D and make sure that white is in the foreground. Make sure layer 1 is selected, and I'm going to hit the paint bucket. Okay, great. Now you didn't notice that anything happened there, but we'll notice when we change our canvas size. Now you're going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and you're going to change your canvas size to the technical requirement of 8.5 by 11. And hit OK. So what this did was it expanded the actual canvas, but didn't affect the image size inside of it. So we made a canvas of 8.5 by 11. Our paint bucket doesn't show because it was only on that image size before. So I'll do it one more time, and it filled in all the gaps there. So now we have a nice border, even border, all the way around. Our image is perfectly centered on that canvas, okay? So what I don't want to see is, oops, Command D, hold on. Okay, let me pick this layer just to show you an example. I'm bringing this out a little bit. Okay, what I don't want to see is a canvas, is a border on just the top and bottom or just the sides. I want to see a border that goes all the way around all 4 sides. Or the image itself can expand to be borderless. You can go all the way to the edges if you want. But usually when you print in a dark room, your prints will have a white border around them. You usually don't always print borderless when you print in a dark room for a fine arts class. So that's why I like to show you how to add the border using the canvas size, and it doesn't affect the resolution of the actual image itself. So once that's all done, you hit Layer, Flatten Image, save it as your PDF, and turn it in. But of course, before you hit Layer, Flatten Image, save it as a PSD, so if you want to go back in and make any changes, you still have all your layers, and you can work with it that way. All right, good luck, everybody.